The Tibet Autonomous Region is located in the southwest of Qinghai Tibet Plateau, the southwest border of China. With an average sea level of more than 4,000 meters, it is the major part of Qinghai Tibet Plateau and is reputed as the ridge of the world, bordered by Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region and Qinghai Province in the north, Sichuan Province in the east, Yunnan Province in the southeast, Mumbai, India, Bhutan, Sikkim in the south and west. It boasts a total length of about 4,000 kilometers and has formed the whole or the partial boundaries between China and above-mentioned countries. Lhasa, the capital of the Tibet, is located in the plain of Mid-Ridge in Lhasa River, a branch of Yalozambo River. As an important city in the southeast corner of China, Lhasa is the center of politics, finance, culture, and transportation of the region from ancient, and is also the sacred land in the Buddhism of Tibet. It is so well known in the world for its graceful sceneries, long history, brilliant culture, unique folkway, many historical sites, and a strong religious atmosphere, that it was listed to the first batch of 24 most famous historical and cultural cities by the State Department. The Potala Palace in the downtown was listed to the World Cultural Heritage by United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. This magic land had featured not only unique sceneries of snowy highland, but also elegant charm in the south of China. They integrated with its cultural site viewings and represented a unique charm in the eyes of travelers. Standing on the red hill of Lhasa, the world-famous Potala Palace is under special protection of the state. With an elevation of more than 3,700 meters, the palace occupied the area of more than 360,000 square meters, and among them, the construction more than 130,000 square meters. Its 13 floors building rises 170 meters, consisted of palaces, stupa tomb halls, Buddhist halls, scriptural hall, monk's dormitory, courtyard. It is the highest and the largest castle-style complex in the world. First set up in the 7th century Anno Domini, Potala Palace was constructed in order to welcome the Princess Wencheng of Tang Dynasty coming all the way to Tibet to marry King Songtsen Genpo. Potala is coming from Sanskrit, which is the name of the island Bodhisattva Guanyin is living. Potala Palace is conventionally called as the second Potala Mountain. All made by stone and wood, the palace is the essence in the art of ancient architecture and is reputed as the palace on the plateau. The Potala Palace is the winter residence of successive Dalai Lamas and formerly served as the center of Tibetan theocratic rule, hosting important religious and political ceremonies since the reign of the Dalai Lama V. The whole building is composed by the White Palace, the Red Palace, and white dormitories in the east. Looking over, you will be able to take the scenery of the city in one glance. The grand portal square seems to welcoming a scene of the pilgrims rolling scriptures and the travelers every day. As the witness of the history and the giant changes of Tibet, it is so like a pure and auspicious belt which is forever linking the snowy land with the country and the world. Built against the terraced slope of the hill, the buildings combine to a skyscraping mass, reminiscent of the divine realm above the mortal world. The granite walls elaborately decorated with soft white thatch, the golden roofs decorated with big gilded bottles, the splendid curtains and red banners, joined to form a unique sculptural wonder bearing the striking colors red, white, and yellow characteristic of Tibetan architectural art, making the patala an eminent example of a constructive technology traditionally Tibetan and Chinese. You cannot claim that you have come to the Tibet if you have never come to the Jokhan Monastery. These are the words from the famous Lama in Jokhan Monastery. Tibetan people name Barkor area centered by Jokhan Monastery as Lhasa, which means the divine abode of Buddha, which shows the high reputation of it. Coming to the entrance of the monastery with crowds of pilgrims rolling scriptures, you can see that they repeatedly put their palms together over the head, forehead, chest in order, hopping the 6 syllables charm in the meantime, and make full-length prostration towards the holy sanctum. Situated in the center of Lhasa, Jokhan Monastery was made in the mid-period of the 7th century. It is the most gorgeous and the earliest wooden building in Tibet. The construction was said to be presided by the Tang Princess Wencheng and Nepalese Princess Tretson married to King Songtsen Gampo. According to the Tibetan classical, the monastery formerly worships the statue of Sakyamuni aged 8. In the early period of the 8th century, when Tang Princess Jingchen was married to Tibet, the statue was moved to Ramashe Monastery and the Jawa Sakyamuni aged 12 came to be worshipped. Jokhan means Sakyamuni, so the monastery indicates the hall worshipping the statue of him. With gold roof and arch, Jokan Monastery is of a typical Han style. However, the watchtower and the beams are of a style of Tibet. The gold roof on the ceiling of this wooden and stone monastery is shiny and eye-dazzling. The incense is hovering in front of it. The pious believers' four-length prostration left behind a deep print on the sighing stone board. Thousands of butter burners have recorded the non-stop trace of the pilgrims and the permanence of ages. The history, the incense of more than 1,000 years has carried down a story of also more than 1,000 years. Bakor Street, or Eight Corners Street in common, is the most ancient street of Lhasa. With a history of almost 1,000 years, it came into existence with the construction of Jokan Monastery. In the past, it is simply a circular street around the monastery. Tibetan people named it a holy street. In Buddhism of Tibet, walking clockwise around the street is regarded as rolling scriptures, which means worship to the statue of Buddha Shakyamuni in Jokan. It is one of the 3 rolling scripture streets. At the present time, Bakor Street is not only a rolling scriptures road, but also a characteristic marketplace, a district with rich Tibetan living atmosphere. Commodities in the booths along the street are facing your eyes. You can see exquisite sculptures rollers, various brass Buddha statues, refined silver butter burners, ancient board printed with scriptures, colorful clothes prayer flags everywhere. Every day the tourists for shopping or sight viewing crowd and form an endless stream. It is an ancient culture street dating back to the early development of Tibet, and it occupies the business street with a collection of the typical commodities of Tibetan, Indian, and Nepalese. It is not only surrounded by unique culture of this snowy land, but also a display of the art and folkway of Tibet. Going into Bakor Street is like going into the history of Tibet, or an artistic aisle integrated with the culture and custom. Located at the foot of the Wuzi Hill to the north of Lhasa, Sera Monastery has a full name of the Dari Mahayana island. It was one of the 3 great monasteries, with Gandhi and Japan being the other 2. There are 2 explanations about the reason why the monastery was named. The most common saying is that it was named by the opulent wild rose woods once growing around it. The other is that it was named by the hill when it was set up. Their pronunciation in Tibetan is both similar to Sera. The main buildings in the monastery include Church and Grand Hall, 3 monasteries, and 29 kanzen. The church means the main assembly hall. It is the main hall and the center of the whole monastery. There are 4 Buddha palaces in the Grand Hall Churchen. They are places for worshipping Buddha statues, sculptures, and the assembly place of monks. The organization below Chorchen is called as Dressan, the monastery which is the place for monk learning scriptures. Kongzen is below Dressan, which is the foundational organization for monks' accommodation. Sarafuyo, a grand ceremony in Sara Monastery, means worship of the thunderbolt of the horse-headed demon god. It was said in the end of the 15th century, a heavenly pestle flied here from India and was called as flying pestle by people. Later, it was worshipped in the protector chapel of Tenzin on 27 December in Tibetan calendar. In the past, on the morning of that day every year, the executor of Ji Dressan would ride on horse and send the pestle to Dalai Lama in Patala Palace. After Dalai Lama empowered it, he sent it back to the Sara Monastery. At the time, the temple of Ji Dressan will come to the slope, empower all the monks and pilgrims by knocking their heads by the pestle for divine protection. Annually, pilgrims who came to Sara Monastery for being empowered will be counted by thousands. Overall called as Precious Park in Tibetan, Nobulinka Park was made in 1840s. With a scale of 360,000 square meters, it mainly embodied with Kyaozan Fodran, Jinse Fodran, and Daden Mingjiu Fodran and features 374 rooms, which made it the park with largest scale, most beautiful sceneries, and most historical sites. Kyaozan Fodran is situated in the southeast corner in the east area of the palace. Its first floor is Scriptures Hall. The second floor is Protector Chapel and reading room for Dalai Lama. The third floor is the place for receiving officers in Buddhism and secular. The Daden Mingjiu Fodran is also called as New Palace. It is located to the north of the east area of Nobulinka and is facing the palace in the center of the lake. Built for Dalai Lama XIV by state government in 1954, it cost more than 3 years in constructing. Erected in the north and facing south, the new palace is the largest Tibetan-style palace in Nobulinka. With a scale of 2 floors, the main rooms are set aside in the second floor. Its south is a little scripture hall. The east is a throne for Dalai Lama. 3 words Buddha are worshipped in the north. The largest scripture hall is located to the north of the little one, with a throne in the middle for the use of Dalai Lama to receive officers in Buddhism and the secular. Named as Choji Fodran in Tibetan, The palace in the center of the Nobulinka is the center of the East Palaces area. Reputed as the most beautiful place of the park, this is the place where Dalai Lama always receives and feeds officers in Buddhism and secular. This set of construction was built in 1784 when Dalai Lama VIII was on the throne. The pool was ever enlarged by Dalai Lama sittings. The layout of the palace in the center of the lake is characteristic. 3 square islands are strewed from the south to the north in a rectangle green pond. The stone railings were made circling the edge of the islands and the banks. On the islands, the center of the lake is a Han-style temple with 1 row. It is a square building with broad corridor in the front and stone railings in 4 directions. The top of the hall is decorated by golden jar statue and pennant, which depicts both Han and the Tibetan architectural style. Bordered by Namcho Lake in the north, the Nanjing Tangla Mountain is erected along the line of the Qinghai-Tibet Railway and 100 kilometers to the north of Lhasa. Its climax reaches an elevation of 7,117 meters. In the year round, the mysterious mountain is capped by snow, covered by clouds and mist. He is very like a martial divinity erected on the grassland and piled up valleys. The Nanjing Tangla Mountain is the famous protective divinity in the region of Tibet, and is the main one in the Divine Mountains among the grassland in northern Tibet. Regarded as the location for the cultivation and assembling place by accomplished bodhisattva Zhu Chi Minzhe, believers of Bonpo and Buddhism worship this mountain. In ancient myths of Tibet, in the halls of monasteries of Bonpo and the Tibetan Buddhism, and in the folk songs and the legends by local goat-herds and hunters, Nanjing Tangla and the Namcho Lake are not only the holy mountain and the lake, but also a couple or lover. Mount Nanjing Tangla became more handsome and towering with the setting off of the Namcho Lake, and the lake is more elegant and touching under the reflection of the mountain. They have attracted and are attracting thousands of pilgrims and tourists coming to worship, which makes them the biggest holy land in religion and sightseeings. With an elevation of 5,190 meters, the Lakhenla Pass was ever an ancient road. Nowadays, it is a must on the way to Namcho, the Holy Lake. Standing on the Lakhenla Pass, you can look over the magic lake. On the giant money stack, the 5-colored close prayer flags are flaunting under the blue sky and white clouds. Namcho means heavenly lake, spiritual lake, or divine lake. It is a holy place in the Buddhism of Tibet for the believers honored at one of the Roseful Lakes. Situated between Dangxiong County of Lhasa and the Bangur County of Nachu area, it was said to be the rite of Sambhara, the most honored Buddha in esoteric sect. Its southeast is the main peak of the Nanchen Tangla, which is piercing into the sky with capped snow year-round. Its north is bordered by gentle plateau and hills. With the vast grassland enclosing the lake, this heavenly lake is like a giant precious mirror inlaid in the grassland in the north of the Tibet. The azure blue sky, the crystal-like river, the white snow, the verdant grass, the tents made by cattle ferns, and the colorful flowers, they reflected with each other and composed a beautiful and a touching painting. Staying among, you will feel very pleasant. With a depth of more than 33 meters in the deepest, the water from Namcho is enriched through the melted snow water of Nanchen Tangla. Along the river, there are many streams pouring into it. With a color of azure blue, the water and the sky integrates into a whole. Strolling on the bank, you will get a feeling of a fairyland. On the morning, the lake surface is misty, the mountains around are gleaming. When the sun rises, the clouds and fog will be dissipated and the breeze blows onto your face. The vast area of the lake will purple like a kind-hearted fairy glaring at people, waving scarves. At the time, the main peak of the Nanchen Tangla will be very clear and the pasture turns out to be shallow green. The body of the mountain is separated by the color of red and black. Its summit is capped by snow. The main peak is just like a powerful warrior safeguarding the natural lake. The climate in this highland is changeable. Sometimes the violent wind blows heavily. Sometimes the dark clouds are covering the sky. After the winds and the snowstorm, the lake is still gleaming. At night, the water was sparkling under the light of the sunset, which forms a charming scene. The surface of the Namcho Lake is quiet, depicting the grand vigor of a large lake. An arched bench extends to the center of the lake and left behind a beautiful arc line. Standing on the boulder a bit higher than the lake, you can see the edge of the lake far away is of the same color with the sky. Its beside is the high money stag, and far away is majestic Nanjing Tangla mountain. The close prayer flags are flaunting in the wind, which sounds like prayer. As the famous sacred place of Tibet, Namcho is one of the 3 holy lakes. With hundreds of years, countless pilgrims came here only for rolling scriptures but not for sight viewing. Walking around the lake in the year of sheep, mountain in the year of horse, and forest in the year of monkey is regarded as the order of the divinity. Namcho is the holy land of body, words, and meaning. If you are able to walk around the lake, you will get great knowledge, get rid of the bad custom and pains, and eventually become immortal. For that reason, the auspicious wheel regards walking around Mount Gandhisi as rolling body in the year of horse, walking around Namcho Lake as rolling words in the year of sheep, and walking around Mount Zari in the year of monkey. So the year of sheep in the Tibetan calendar is the time for worshipping and walking around Namcho. On Sagdawa festival in the year of sheep, the monasteries near Namcho will get so crowded. Colorful closed prayer flags will be densely hung near the lake and on the rugged cliff. The people crowd is like a non-stop flowing river. As the lake is so large and the landscape is complex, it usually takes 20 to 30 days making a round trip. Even the strongest young fellow needs at least 10 days. So people all walking around the Tashi Peninsula for replacement. It was said walking around the peninsula for 7 times is equal to walking around the lake. On the bank of the beautiful Namcho, pilgrims are continuously rolling scriptures around the famous Tashi Peninsula and crowded to the lake. In the hot sunshine of Tibet, there are like groups of moving statues measuring the holy land beneath their faithful feet and praying for all the creatures. Ranged from Mount Gandhisi to the south of Nanjing Tangla, the Shannan area is the cradle for the Tibetan nationality. Located in the mid and the lower reach of Yalak-Zampo River, this area boasts an elevation of 3,600 meters and a pleasant climate. with an area of more than 80,000 square kilometers and a population of more than 290,000. These advantaged conditions made it one of the cradles for the living and developing for Tibetan nationality. Shannan area is also the cradle for the culture of Tibet. Many excellent talents in the history of Tibet were born here. He has created the splendid and colorful Yalung culture and many top records in history. There are also numerous historical sites and abundant tourist resources. There are not only imposing mountains and rivers, mysterious divine mountain and holy lake, but also picturesque primeval forests and pleasant vast grassland. There is not only steep Yalang Zambo giant waterfall, but also famous historical sites, which made this place integrated with amusement, entertainment, and scientific exploration in one. The historical sites of Shannan area include Patala Palace, the first palace in the history of Tibet, Trenjak Monastery, the first monastery and the first tomb group for the king of Tibet. The cultural historical sites in the Buddhism of Tibet include Samye Monastery made in the mid of the 8th century. It is the first monastery with the combination of the Buddha, the law, and the order, and is a masterpiece in the history of architecture. With the fame of the first monastery of Tibet, Samye Monastery is located near the Jama Mountain to the north bank of the Yalang Zampo River in Jianan County of Shannan area. It was made in the period of the 5th king Trisung Dorzen in Kingdom of Tibet at the mid of the 8th century. There is a story about the monastery. It is also called as Boundless Monastery, Beyond Imagination Monastery, and Three Styles Monastery, etc. However, it is called as Samye in common. According to the legend, after Padmasambhava built the monastery and spread Buddhism for the king Trisung Dorzen, in order to meet the desire of the king to see the finished construction, the master used his magic and made the illusion of the monastery in his palm. Trisung Dorzen was so surprised that he screamed out Samye, which means beyond one's imagination, hence it got its name. The construction of Samye Monastery is gorgeous and the layout is unique. It was said to be built according to the original version of Odendapura Monastery by Magadha in ancient India. The constructions of the whole monastery were totally arranged on the large Chalat cosmos. Its center is Mount Sumeru, represented by a 3 floors Uzi Great Hall, with the style of Tibet, Han, and India. On the south and the north of the hall, the Sun Hall and the Moon Hall were set up to represent the wheels of Sun and the Moon in the universe. There are 4 stupas in every corner of the Uzi Grand Hall with the colors of red, white, green, and black, which represent the 4 heavenly kings. There are 4 big halls and 8 small ones scattered around the Grand Hall in good order, which represent 4 large inhabited continents and 8 small ones in short sea. The periphery of the construction group is enclosed by a round fence which represents the Iron Mountain enclosing the world. The whole arrangement is also similar to the mandala city in the esoteric sect. Located in the center of the whole monastery, Wuzi Grand Hall is the main hall of Samye. The hall is erected in the west and faces east. In this three-floors building, the first floor is Tibetan style, the middle is Han style, and the top is Indian style. Hence it is also named as Three Styles Monastery. The halls and the aisles are fully painted with murals in different content. Besides some typical religious paintings you can also find in other temples, there is a famous mural on the history of the Tibet on the wall of the middle corridor of the Wuzi Grand Hall. It has recorded from the origination of the Tibetan nationality, the founding of Gallic sect by Tsongkhapa until the achievements of the Dalai Lama IX. Looking over on the top floor, you will be able to find the 4 inhabited continents of every universe. In its surroundings, you can find 8 small continents, sun and moon halls, and 4 stupas. The refined designing, the skillful layout will surprise you so much. With a total length of more than 2,900 kilometers, River Yalang Zampo is flowing in the south of the reach of the world. Yalang Zampo River is an outflowing river. With a length of about 2,057 kilometers in China, it ranks the 5th in the famous rivers, and its flow area ranks 6th in the country. The volume it pours out of the country is only next to Yangtze River, Zhujiang River, and ranks 3rd. With a seabed elevation of more than 3,000 meters in most places, Yalang Zampo River is the highest heavenly river of the world. On the south of the Yalang Zampo River is the Himalayas mountain, the youngest and the highest mountain of the world. Its north is Mountain Gangxi and Nyenchintangla. A valley is located between the south and the north and was named as Loka in Tibetan, which means south area. The valley is a belt with gentle slope ranging from east to west. River Yalang Zampo is quietly flowing in this valley. With the same landform with the valley, the river is long from east to west and is narrow in the north and the south. The length is about 1,500 kilometers and the breadth is only 290 kilometers. Yalang Zampo River is originated from the Jema Yangzong Glacier between the Himalayas and the Gangxi mountain range. In Tibetan, it means the water flowing down from the highest peak. Although it is only the 5th biggest river by the length and the flow area, the section with an elevation of more than 3,000 meters takes 3/4 of its total length, which made it the highest long river of the world and the mother river of Tibetan people. Yalang Zampo is like a silver giant dragon crossing the highlands and the hills in Shannan area and is watering the fertile land of the both banks. The roads are linking together, the population is large. It is not only the cradle of the brilliant culture of Tibet, but also the famous barn of the highland. Marshal Chen Yi has ever written a poem. Yalang Zampo is such a giant river, with distant head and a long flow. Just have a look to the vast green land, which is suitable for planting and farming. The beauty of the Yalang Zampo is more gorgeous comparing with Night Cottage Gully. It is just like a pure white giant hot dog hanging between the sky and the earth, which represent the sincere hope of Tibetan people. Walking around the Yalang Zampo River against the current. On the way, the sceneries are so beautiful. Sometimes the river is calm like a mirror. Sometimes the flows are fluctuating. The blue sky, the white clouds, the verdant mountain, the green water, the faraway snow-capped mountain and hills, and the rugged cliff near the river. They continuously change the angle and the position, and form into multiple splendid three-dimensional pictures. Boating in the verdant wave, the beauty of silence and pleasure makes people reluctant to return. Yumbu Lagon, the first imperial palace of Tibet, boasts a history of more than 2,100 years. In Tibetan, it means mother and son palace. The Jashizi mountain looks like a quiet dove. Word Yumbu in Tibetan means doe, and La means the back leg. Gong means palace, so Yumbu Lagon means the palace on the back leg of a doe. It gives people a feeling of tender and serene. Located in the southeast of Zedong County in Shannan area, Yumbu Lagon is erected on the summit of Mount Jashizi near the east bank of Yalong River. It was said to be built by the followers of Bampong religion for Nietzsche Zempo, the first king of Tibet in 2nd century BC. After that, the imperial palace has become the palace of successive kings of Tibet. To the 7th century Anno Domini, the 33rd King Songtsen Khenpo unified the highland, moved the capital to Lhasa. Yumbu Lagon became the winter palace for Songtsen Khenpo and Princess Wencheng in Shannan area. Yumbu Lagon is divided by two parts. The front part is a multi-floor construction, and its rear is a square high watchtower joined with the front part. They all boast a history of more than 2,100 years. The front half is a lodge with an area of 33 square meters. Outside the lodge, there is a little platform with eave. Its latter half is a Buddha hall worshipping the statues of Songtsen Khenpo and Princess Wencheng, etc. The second floor is also divided by the front part and the later one. The front part is a platform enclosed by low walls in 3 directions. The later half is a corridor with a courtyard. Dalai Lama V has added a golden spiky pinnacle on the top of the watchtower. Beside the dormitories in Yumbu Lagon, there is a bedroom only for successive Dalai Lamas when they came here for worshipping. The highest construction of Yumbu Lagon is a tower. According to legend, Princess Wencheng has been living here for the first summer when she came into Tibet. Standing on the tower and looking over, you will find the Yalong River flowing beneath your feet. The idyllic landscape is so pleasant. The Potala Palace, Joka Monastery, Samye Monastery, and Yumbulagon share long history and the religious culture represented. The folk custom makes people get to know with its romantic and mysterious charm. The highland lakes and the polyposter's folk custom are weaving together, which made this place a pure sacred land. The beautiful Tibet is the place countless people dreaming of. The mysterious religion, the honest Tibetan people, lamas with red clothes, and the Tibetan antelope-like spirits made the people far away from the noisy metropolis found the peace in their mind and picked up the pureness in their soul. Tibet, it is a holy land in the heart. Reputed as the ridge of the world and the third pole of the earth, the Qinghai Tibet Plateau is the headwater of rivers of China. The Gelmud-Lhasa section of Qinghai Tibet Railway starts from the Gelmud of Qinghai in the east to Lhasa of Tibet in the west, with a length of 1,142 kilograms. It crosses through Nachitai, Wudaliang, Tuotuo River, Yanshiping, tramps over Tangla, and then crosses Endo, Nachu, Dangxiong, Yangpa-chen of Tibet and arrives in Lhasa. On the way, there are 960 meters with an elevation of more than 4,000 meters, 550 meters of frozen soil. The climax reached the elevation 5,072 meters, which is the highest and longest highland railway. Along the railway line is the world's top tourism belt, featuring most spectacular sceneries and most mysterious culture. On the way, passes through Kamba Monastery, Mount Riyueshan, Qinghai Lake, Mount Kunlunshan, Jade Pool, Patrol, and the Sanjiangyuan Protection Area, Mount Tangla, Holy Valley of Jama, Yangpa-chen, Patala Palace, etc. famous scenic series or attractions in China, even in the world. The rivers, snow mountains, grasslands, ice peaks, streams, forests, and wild animals are scattered around. It has almost involved in all kinds of natural geographical landscapes and all essences of the ancient road from Tang to Tibet 1,000 years before. The Qinghai Tibet Railway has linked 9 world-ranking tourism resources, including Qinghai Lake, Patrol, Namtor, and Potala Palace, etc. 23 national ranking scenic spots including Kamba Monastery, Lhasa Ancient City, Bakor Street, etc. 10 national area under the state protection and 193 ordinary tourism resources. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway itself is also scenery. On the way, you can enjoy Santa River extra-large bridge, the highest bridge in elevation, and the Qingshui River Bridge, the longest freshwater bridge like a rainbow spanning in Patrol. The wonder in the history of architecture will surprise you. Qinghai Tibet Plateau, a place closest to the sky, is reputed as the last Pure Land of the world. She has aroused the desire of countless people for splendid and grand natural sceneries, for its unique culture in the snowy land. However, many people don't know that this vast land has originated almost all the big rivers and lakes of Asia. As the life water of millions of people and creatures in Southeast Asia and South Asia in the lower reach, it has played a vital role in the human health and the safety of global ecology. The towering and majestic mountain range, the pure snow mountains, the non-stop pouring rivers, the high mountains and the lakes strewn in random, the wetland, the unique environment has benefited many species of wild animals such as Tibetan antelope, Tibetan fox, black-necked crane, golden eagle, etc., and plantations growing in the crevices of snow peaks and rock fissures. For instance, snow lotus, Fodilla rosea, rough gentian, etc. Qinghai Tibet Plateau boasts its most intact ecosystem and is an important area for the protection of biological diversity. Not long after the train set off from the Amdor station, the beautiful Tonak Lake is just on the left of the window. With an elevation of 4,594 meters and an area of about 300 square meters. It is the highest freshwater lake in the world. If we describe the Qinghai Tibet Railway as a crown in the railway system of the homeland, Tonak Lake is just like a sapphire of the crown. The superb natural condition and good ecological environment made the lake an ideal place for the living of birds. Nevertheless, Tonak is a divine lake in the thoughts of local Tibetan people. In the year of dragon in Tibetan calendar, thousands of pilgrims will come to worship, which made the famous scenery along Amdor and the railway line. The sacred and beautiful snowland is so frail. The thin air, the chilly climate, the inclement living condition made it sensitive to the change of the environment and the harassment of humans. The global getting warmer and overexploration has influenced the living of many animals and plantations on the highland. Every creature has added the spirit of the fine sceneries, and is an indispensable element of this characteristic and magic ecosystem. However, it could be irreversibly damaged very easily. Dozens of protection zones have been set up in the plateau up to now. Among them, the Changtang Protection Zone in Tibet covers an area of 300,000 square kilometers. It is composed of a giant natural protection net with adjacent Petrol, Sanjiangyuan, and Mount Ajin Zone. They not only provide an adequate living space for the wild animals and plantations, but also protected the intact and safe of the water tower of China. In dusk, I'm standing on a high mountain, seeing the railway constructing towards my hometown. Pieces of giant dragons tramp over the mountain and valley to bring the safe and hills to the snowy plateau. It is a magic heavenly road. The heavenly road has described the beautiful natural sceneries and the unique folk custom of the plateau. They made it a place which countless travelers dreamed to take steps.